Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Job Description. At my last company, I was working as a marketing executive. The team included me and a senior marketing executive. As time went on, I began to take on more responsibilities, to the point that I was doing more than the senior in the team, which they admitted. I spoke to my manager about what I needed to do to get to a senior position. She gave me goals and a timeline. I hit those targets, and she would move the goalposts. She did this 2 more times. All the while, I was using my skills to reduce costs and improve the projects I was working on. Specifically, I started to design everything myself instead of using an expensive design agency, saving the company £45,000 per year. I finally set another meeting with my manager to discuss a promotion. I showed her how I'd increased the profit margins of all my projects and all the extra work I'd been doing. Her response was, "Just because you make nice things and do extra work doesn't entitle you to a promotion." I sat there shocked. Well, she said, "But don't worry, you'll get there," and ended the meeting. She led me on about a promotion for 2 years. I stopped doing anything outside my job description, which included all the design work. Everything went to an agency. The whole team relied on my design work, but when I told them why I was stopping, they were also quite happy to start using the expensive agency. It wasn't until our next quarterly meeting that my manager noticed our profits per project had harshly dropped. When she questioned why we were spending so much, I said, "As design is out of my remit, we had to use an agency." She was livid, as she had to present the stats to the CEO that week, who ended up yelling at her in front of the directors. She tried to give me an official warning for sabotaging the team, but a talk with HR cleared that array when they realized it wasn't part of my role. She then told me that I had to sign a new contract with an updated job description. I declined that too. Eventually, she asked me what it would take to get me to continue running my projects like I used to, and I mentioned the job title and salary increase. She begrudgingly accepted. I was worried about her being hostile, but then 2020 hit and the lady was made redundant. I stayed for a further 2 years before finally moving to a much better place at the start of this year. And as of today, her LinkedIn continues to show that she is unemployed. The next story is called Process Them. I worked the night shift at the testing site for a major medical laboratory network. The shift was busy because patient specimens were collected at service centers during the day. Couriers would bring all these specimens to the testing site, starting in the evening and continuing well into the night. My shift ended at 7 AM, when the day shift would arrive and take over the analyzers. The night shift supervisor had told me that if any courier shipments arrived after 6 AM, I should leave them for the day shift to do. Because at 6 I needed to do end-run quality control on the analyzers, clean them and file my paperwork. No time to start running a late batch of specimens, and we wouldn't get overtime for staying late to do those. But the day shift supervisor, Lily, didn't like it when samples were left for her staff to process. She told me I should be more efficient and get them done somehow. Then one morning she made a mistake. Instead of me on the night shift, it was Steven. Lily came in at about 6:30, at the same time that a large batch of late specimens was dropped off. "Steven, you have to process those," she said to him. Steven didn't argue. He loaded all the specimens on the analyzers. And then, at exactly 7 AM, he quietly went home. The day shift is typically busy at the start, so no one noticed that he had gone at first. Then the analyzer started producing results, flagging problematic specimens, and so on, and everyone was searching for him. Had he gone to the washroom? Had he said anything to anyone? Where was the paperwork? What needed to be done now? Everyone was confused, and the situation created far more work than if the day shift had simply taken over from the start. Lily hated Steven after that, but she never again told him to process late specimens either. The third story is called Ship It. A couple of years ago, I took a fantastic job as an IT manager in a remote role for a healthcare company. It was the best job I'd ever had. Great salary, total freedom, had a wonderful boss who trusted me to do my job. I was brought on to create an internal IT team. We had been all outsourced IT for a company that had 19 offices in 3 US states, and I was given free rein to create a team as I saw fit. I hired a great sysadmin for both our California and Missouri markets, and I served that role for Alabama. The employees loved us. Most tickets were resolved in an hour or two instead of the outsourced company taking a day or two, and maybe not fixing the issue still. We were saving the company close to $500,000 per year in outsourced cost versus our salaries. It was glorious. But my boss decided to become a stay-at-home dad. I was looking to advance to his position, but our new CEO instead created a new VP of IT position for a guy she had worked with for 7 previous years. Sadly, the new guy was the micromanager of micromanagers. He had my company credit card closed. I went from a discretionary limit of $10,000 to having to ask his approval on $10 network cables. He put himself on every account, removed most of my authority. In effect, I was demoted to senior sysadmin. One day, I visited one of our sites and picked up a bunch of stuff. 5 desktop PCs. We had moved to laptops only. A carton full of keyboards, mice and cables. We had odds and ends. The idea was that I would take it to one of our other facilities and store it there. Save the desktop PCs that I would ship to our outsourcing partner. Well, I went on vacation only to come home to discover that the previous Friday had been my last day. I was getting 2 weeks severance and they were eliminating the department entirely. I asked the VP about the equipment. He told me to ship it all to him and he'd dispense of it. Now, I assumed he'd want me to ship it to the outsourced company, or at least do so with the PCs. But no. The thing is, the VP lives in Colorado. We have no branches there. The outsourced partner is in Missouri, meaning that no matter what, he'd at least be reshipping those PCs to Missouri. I went to FedEx and carted all the crap in. They offered me various methods, but I told them that it was all going on the company's account, to ship it ground, per VP, but to do so in whatever method made them the most money. They spent well over 3 hours carefully wrapping and padding all of it. Charged the company several $100s. By my best estimate from previous shipping I had done with them, it was about triple what it should have been. And of course, BP also had to pay to ship those desktops again. But hey, he told me to do it. The company had my severance until they got the equipment, so I guess I satisfied their requirements. Also, screw that guy. He's a thief and I know it. And I even turned him in, but the company did nothing. The last story is called EV Parking. This happened to me back in early 2015. We just recently made the move to purchase a new EV. At the time, the batteries in the EVs were small compared to today and only had around a 60 to 80 mile range. Well, one of our first larger journeys was to a shopping center about 60 miles away. We chose to go to this shopping center, as it also was one of the first places to have EV charging compared to other shops, and at the time the charging was still free. So we hoped to go there, get a free charge while shopping and then head home with a full battery. Before we set off, we checked the charger was working through its app, and once we were happy, we made the journey. When we arrived, we found where the charger was placed and ran into our issue. They were working fine, but they were fully blocked by non-EV cars. The bays were marked, but for whatever reason, people had parked in them. No worries, I thought, and I went into the center to the information desk to ask if they would announce for whoever to pop into their car to move it. They said they didn't do that and wouldn't. I explained I needed to charge to get home, and could they please make an exception. They would not, and so I angrily dropped a hint about them clamping the car or leaving a ticket on it. They said they don't do that either. In fact, the car park was not monitored at all, as it was free to park for the day, so no cameras were needed to monitor the car park, and there were no car park attendants. So you don't do anything about incorrectly parked cars, I asked. The answer I got was a firm no from the information desk person, and they really didn't want to be bothered again. As I got back to the car, I saw there were pavement to the edge of the chargers. The chargers were situated close to the building, but the pavement was in a place that wouldn't be used much when walking around the car park. It also didn't lead anywhere, and more importantly, didn't lead to any disabled or parent parking spots. It was also very wide, which gave me an idea. I then drove to the end of the car park, mounted the wide pavement, made sure there was no one around, and slowly drive to the chargers. My cable then reached. I started the charge, locked the car, and went shopping. I got back to the car at the end of the day, with some former employee in front of the center looking perplexed at our car parked on the pavement. I just unlocked the car, pulled the cable away, and drove off with a full charge. Safe to say, the next time I went a year later, there were signs on the EV base stating parking restrictions. There was a fine for non-EVs, and they were marked with more paint to make them extra obvious. Oh, and a couple of bollards at the end of the pavement where I mounted the curb. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.